All right, we are on like Donkey Kong. Look at that beautiful little snap. Well, guys, we're back again. We've had a lot of requests, especially during all this coronavirus. A lot of families want to go out, want to just get out in the boat and get some tight lines. Little guy, it's still fun. That was like my second cast there. So we just pulled up under a random bridge near Luke's house here in St. Pete. And we got, I don't know, a couple dozen shrimp, Luke?
Yep.
If you guys missed our video on rigging these shrimp weedless, we'll definitely put a link to that. But that's all we're doing. And this is like, we got a really late start. I had to come over from Winter Haven. So I had an hour and a half. Luke's on, hour and a half drive.
Yeah, this is just how to just get guaranteed action.
Guaranteed action.
If you want to make sure you don't
We
get
literally
stuck.
just pulled up here, guys. Like, oh, you got a jack?
Yeah. So
This is so much fun. Like, so easy. It's like the third shrimp here. And you can see there's some water flow. We got a little bit of some tide movement, but it's starting to get warm. It's, past 10 o'clock, 10:30. Not exactly the ideal times where we normally go out, where some of the past podcasts have been a little bit more tactical, where we're fishing docks with Slam Shady. This is just a great way to take the family. You don't have to have a trolling motor.
Trolling motor is very helpful.
It is helpful, but we saw, on the way here, we were going to stop another bridge, but there's a guy already there, and, he had his anchor out. It was an old little, basically like an old John boat, and he is anchored out. We saw him get tight lines on something, looks like a sheep's header, something doing the same thing. It's so easy, anybody can do it. I'm making sure there's no pistol shrimp. Do you guys see that video, by the way, of Luke and his girlfriend and the shrimp they found?
Yeah, and so the key,
pistol shrimp.
and we'll show you all this, but the key is just to get live shrimp because everything eats them. Everything is live shrimp. You can catch the small stuff like small snapper. Oh, got another one on. You can catch small snapper. You can catch sheep's head. You can catch jacks that we just saw, or you can even catch snook and tarpon, like the big good stuff too. So it's just a way to go out and just maximize your odds of success. And so in this podcast video, we'll be showing you, what to look for, the types of spots to use this, and the key. There's really three things that if you find them all together and you get some shrimp like this and rig it properly, you're going to catch fish and you're going to minimize the amount of snags that you get as well. That's part of it.
So let's talk about number one.
Number one is structure. So that's and that just goes into why we're rigging the shrimp the way we are. Is that we're rigging them weedless. It is very, very important because the goal is to get as close to the structure as you possibly can. In this case, it's bridge pilings. Could be dock pilings, could be rocks. Oh, I got something messing with me. Oh, I missed him again. Could be rocks, could be, anything. Anything other than just flat sand is going to be something that an ambush predator can use to get its next meal. And when you're in areas like this with heavy current, that's number two, with heavy current, then you have the odds of catching the non-ambush predators, right? The roamers, kind of like that jack I just caught. That's not necessary. They don't really hide behind pilings and strike prey. They really resort to speed in chasing down stuff. So they're more the roamers. Tarpon are more like a roamer. So anyhow, fishing areas like this, like bridges, which is an area that has structure, that has a lot of current because it's a pinch point. Those are going to be the types of areas you can go to, even on bad tides and bad weather, like we have now. Or it's good weather, but that's bad. It's just I don't like fishing clear skies like this. But you can go on days regardless of what the conditions are, and always at least have some action. Like I would be totally shocked. Granted, we've already had some now, but on the way out, I was okay. We want to get a podcast video on just how to go out and just have some fish caught. Let's go get live shrimp, go to the bridges.
Cool stingray here too, and the kids can see some fun things. He's going down a little bit deeper, but you never know what you're going to see in these bridges. I mean, right now, especially if you're kind of anywhere in the middle of Florida, especially South Florida. I mean, you got a lot of tarpon and stuff going through these bridges. I mean, that's so cool. A lot of dolphin are hanging around here, especially as the current moves. Last weekend we were in Port Charlotte area, And I mean, my daughter absolutely loved just going down to the bridge. Oh, that's a beautiful
snapper.
Beautiful snapper. And just watching all the dolphin and all the life down there, and caught a couple nice fish. Of course, that was using the Slam Shady. But next best thing, of course, is shrimp. And I'm being a little facetious there. Shrimp has got to be the easiest way that anybody can use it. Just go out there and catch a bunch of fish fast. And we'll talk a little bit too about the right weight to use, and of course how to rig it, which is really important, so you're not spending most of your time re-rigging.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this too is we're going to do some grocery shopping as well. That snapper was just a little bit shy of being keeper, and so doing this type of fishing, you can catch a lot of fish that are actually really good to eat. Like these mangrove snapper are delicious. Mahara are delicious too. I've been catching some big ones of those. And they're shockingly good. Sheep's head, obviously, again, this is a large list. Ooh, that's a bigger fish. Oh. And so, ladyfish. So that's another roamer. Like that's not an ambush predator, that's a roamer. And again, fishing the area like this with strong current, right? We want structure for the ambush predators. And then we want the current for the roamers. And again, one spot, you have it all.
Whoa. Almost got me. It's bad news about ladyfish. They always like to spit the hook. Thank goodness that wasn't a bad one. That would have been good tarpon bait, though.
Yep. Yeah, and take the kids out, and that's a good point. This is what Dad used to do with us.
Oh yeah, I mean ladyfish. Even though we don't like to catch them, man, they're a fun fight. Like I thought I had something big on it first when it first hit.
No, but even pin. You can go out and catch a lot of pinfish as well. Again, you can with shrimp, everything eats them, so you can literally catch anything. Another smart thing to do is we didn't do it today, but is to bring a big rod. So when you do get a pinfish or a ladyfish and you see some tarpon rolling, put one of those fish out, and you have a really good chance of getting into a tarpon.
And so let's talk about the spot. Why did we pick this bridge?
Well, I tried to go to the other one, and there's people on it, so we picked this one because there wasn't anybody fishing it. Any bridge works. You just need to have. Oh, hold on. Got one. There we are. You just need to have, we got a sea bass. It's actually a pretty good size
sea bass. Heck yeah.
So you just need to have, again, structure and current and then depth. Water depth is really the third one, I would say. Yeah, we don't get many sea bass around here. That's a pretty cool catch. So yeah, see, these are delicious. That one's not big enough. We'll let him go. Even got our shrimp back. So we just need to find those three things. Structure, current, depth, put some shrimp down there, and hold on.
And we're only in, what, 8, 9 feet of water here?
No, it's 12, 13 here.
Oh, I thought it was 8 when I first had that one.
Yep.
It's a little bit deeper here?
Yep.
Still pretty shallow.
And so what we're doing as far as boat positioning is very important. Obviously, we have an entire course on boat positioning with artificial lures, going out and doing the more technical stuff. For redfish and big trout and snook, but positioning is still important when doing the more basic fishing as well. So what we're doing is right now we have a light current. The tides are really weak right now, but the current is coming towards us. So we are positioned down current from the bridge, and we're pitching our baits up current into the pilings. And that way, these fish are expecting their next meal to come with the current, and that way we can cast above them and then basically let the current flow just bring it back down as it naturally would. And again, that's just the way to maximize your odds. Yes, you can go up current and drift in. This is just a way to help maximize the actual.
I'm gonna try these pilings over
fish
here.
Catching.
That double over there looks pretty good. Yeah, so we're just doing underhand little pitch. You don't have to be a great caster here. You just got to get out in front of you, as Luke said, give a little bit of line so we can hit the bottom. And you'll notice we're kind of slowly pulling it back up, waiting for that strike. Now talk about some mistakes that so easy to do in terms of losing a lot of bait and setting the hook too fast, Lukey.
Well, mistake number one is not rigging the shrimp weedless. When you're fishing bridges like this, and really you can do this again with docks or even rock shorelines, there's going to be a lot of snags on the bottom. And you can actually get the current can take the bait into the pilings. And so if you're not weedless, something big just hit behind there. But if you're not rigged weedless, you're going to have a lot of frustration, especially if you have a kid on board. They're going to be getting, who's not the best caster, they're going to be getting just snagged everywhere. And when you rig it weedless, which we have a video on that, but we'll obviously do it here in a little bit. When you rig it weedless, you can get up there right on the structure. You can bump it up against those pilings. You can go over some of the stuff on the bottom that you don't even know is there and find structure without getting snagged. Very, very important. Because I've never done this with this bridge, and we might lose a rig or two, but the odds are way, way less. The fact that
seems like this side has been better so far.
Yeah, I got something.
Oh, there you go. Oh, baby. Steal you?
Yep.
I'm going to try over here. Yeah, so another cool thing is usually once you find a piling or area pilings where you catch a couple, there's going to be a whole lot more there. And we've spent some time, especially down in the Keys, diving bridges, for lobster, and it's the same thing. There'll be one section of pilings that have the majority of the fish. Goes back to the 90-10 rule. It's one of the most popular rules that our insiders all love, is that 90-10, meaning 90% of the feeding fish are going to be in 10% of the area. No different here under the bridges. So find that one and then own it. Don't move around once you find it. And so far, this little area has been the most productive. But we're still going to do a little exploring, just because we're in exploration mode. And it's probably close to Ponce de Leon Day. Right, Luke?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's got to be a holiday. Like National Anglers Day, October 23rd. I don't know if you guys know the story behind that. But we created National Anglers Day. We're like, how come, you got every kind of day possible. I mean, from National Mustache Day to Teacher Appreciation Day to National Mole Day. I mean, there's some really goofy holidays out there. We're like, how come there's not a National Anglers Day to celebrate fishermen like us? So we kind of just created it out of the blue. We picked October 23rd. I don't remember why. It just felt right. And we launched National Anglers Day, and now we're in year 3 of it. And what's funny, this past year I saw on Instagram, they were random people like wishing each other Happy National Anglers Day on kind of a fake holiday, if you will. But maybe that's how all holidays were invented.
It's all of them start. So picks a day. And
what's even funnier is, if you guys are interested in creating your own holiday, there is like a national holiday registrar, and I think it's just probably like some dude in India that has a computer and happened to be the first one to do it. And even though it's not official, like with the White House or anything, it's certainly a big website that has a lot of traffic. But it's crazy. You can pay $25,000. They reached out and saw that we had started it and said, hey, for $25K, you can get it registered. I was like, what?
Yeah, what a deal.
Yeah, what a load. How funny is that, though? $25,000 and you can have your own holiday.
Another snapper for those listening. Fishing right on the pilings. Those are the ones that Joe said weren't good.
No, I said the back ones weren't. You went to the double.
Pretty much, again, all these pilings have a very high chance of having fish on them, and so it's just smart just to cover each one. And as I said before, right, so far we've caught a lot of small fish. What do you have there? Oh, small snapper?
Yep.
Smaller. I thought it was a grunt at first. Yeah, so far we've caught small stuff, but you just never know when that big one's going to come next.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, we're ready for it. You know, we are using
light. Cody. Finger licking good. Snapper are delicious. You're really getting into that whole snapper thing now after
yeah, they're delicious.
Watching old chef.
So I used to never bother keeping snapper unless they were like 14, 15 inches, where they're big enough to fillet and get like a decent amount of meat off of them. But cooking those things whole, I started just scaling them and gutting them, and we filmed a video on how to do that with just a kitchen knife or a kitchen fork, and it's delicious. Just grill it on there whole, and man, it's good. So I'm actually hoping we get some, 11, 12 inchers, and we'll grill some up tonight.
All right.
But again, you just never know what it's. Could get some sheep's head. Sheep's head should still be around.
The weedless rig. So you can see here, what size weight is this, Luke?
That's a, I'll get through my tackle bag. I think it's a 3/16.
Okay, I would have said 1/4, but 3/16. Obviously, you can change it up based on where you're fishing, with the amount of current you have, how deep it is. And you can see that thing is completely weedless. And with that little bullet weight, slides through the water with the greatest of ease.
And so you notice we're using J hooks for this. It's tougher to do this with circle hooks because we're rigging it so that the hook point is actually inside the shrimp. So it's basically underneath the little hard exterior of the shrimp. And so it's when we get a strike, we have to set the hook. Like you'll see us do a pretty good hook set, and that's because we have to power through the shell of the shrimp to get the hook point out. So that'll just be hard to do. So with circle hooks, you're not supposed to set the hook, right? You let the kind of the circle hook do its work. If you embed the point of a circle hook, it'll actually be pretty hard to get a good hookup ratio. So for this is really kind of active fishing.
So you can't put it in the rod holder, unfortunately.
Yeah, and if you're taking kids out, it would be something where you would use this rig and then find the fish, like find that one little area where every cast we were getting a strike, find the fish, and then have the child with a circle hook just go in there and go take advantage of the hot zone.
So you would do a circle with a kid, huh?
Yeah, just so you're not gut hooking fish, right? Because most kids, they're not going to be actively paying attention. To do this, to use J hooks.
That doesn't sound like kids at all. My kids are always paying attention.
Yeah, because
very, very great kids.
The benefit of circle hooks is that the hooks just do the work for you, and J hooks is the opposite. You really have to set the hook, and if you don't do it quickly, it can have a higher chance of gut hooking the fish, which is the number one cause of fish not surviving release. So this is really for active fishing, and then if you're gonna be having a kid out, just get a small chunk of the shrimp, put it on a circle hook, and do the same thing, and then it just won't be as weedless, but they'll be still catching a ton of fish, and they'll be gut hooking none of them. So it's interesting, the down current side of the bridge seems to have the most action.
So where are we in the current cycle right now? What's happening?
It's just a real slow, it's a very weak tide, it's the incoming tide. It doesn't really matter which way it's going, incoming, outgoing. Like these fish, they don't just come here for one tide cycle, like they live here. And so the key is just to have some moving water. And so doing this type of stuff, I don't care if it's coming in or out, I just want it to be moving. And it's kind of, every spot's different, but when the current's just ripping, it's hard to do just because it's hard to control your bait. And so this is generally best to do on a weak tide or closer to the turn of the tides. Otherwise, like sometimes if the current's cranking, if it's a full moon, max current time, this current in here is cranking through, and it's just much more difficult. It's hard to control the baits, and I don't do it. I don't even mess with it. And that's really the best time to get up there on the flats and catch the at least in my opinion, the better fish, the more fun fish. So I generally do this when it's just bad, when the conditions are not very good for the fishing I generally like to do. Because again, it always works, and it's just easy.
Why do you hate mangrove snappers so much, dude?
I like them. I'd rather catch them on lures.
Oh yeah.
So again, what we're doing is
we're
just zigzagging through all this stuff, trying to find another hot zone. Worst case, we can go back to that one spot. But it's generally there's going to be multiple. Oh, is that a strike?
Yep.
Something's messing with me down there. So what I'm doing is I'm feeling for weight. So my rod tip's tapping, and that's generally going to be something small. Just messing with it. And if you set your hook on the taps, you're going to be going through a ton of baits. In many cases, like little small pinfish will be in there tapping at it. And if you set the hook, that can actually just dislodge it from the hook. And sometimes though, you do get robbed like this. But in many cases, those little junk fish, they'll be tapping at it, and then a bigger fish will see the commotion, and they'll go up there and steal the meal. So you'll feel tap, 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 and you'll feel a thump. And that's what you want. You want to feel for the thumps, and then you'll feel a little bit of weight on it, and that's when you set the hook. That's, I would say, the number 2 mistake, other than not going weedless, is setting the hook too frequently and setting the hook on the taps and not the thumps. You can go through a ton of bait and hardly catch anything because there's just so many pinfish and just small stuff down there that they're just not big enough to even like grab the whole shrimp. And if you're setting the hook on that, they'll be grabbing at the head or grabbing at the legs. If you set the hook, it's just going to pull your bait apart, and you're going to go through a ton of baits without catching many fish.
Boo.
Bad combo.
So since you're ripping the tail off, do you have to have live shrimp, or can you just get some old frozen?
Oh no, yeah. Again, for this you can use anything. Live shrimp just works better because they're still moving. It's just fresh scent, so the live shrimp has better odds of catching the better fish. I've caught snook doing this. I've caught big trout doing this, redfish, you name it, and the live bait just does better. But frozen shrimp works great too, right? So if you just want to have shrimp on the boat for just a total backup plan, then just have some frozen shrimp, put it in the cooler, and it'll work as well. So
we're just using the same tackle we normally do when we're out catching reds and snook. I got a 7.6. This is the TFO, the Temple Fork, and 3000. Do you have a 3025 hundo?
I'm testing out this. It's a 30 actually, but it's a 3000. This is Quantum Smoke when I'm testing out.
The smoke. I don't like this area as much. Let's go back to that honey hole.
Never give up. Yeah.
So, meaning good news is you don't have to go out and buy all new tackle, rods and reels. You can if you want to. Of course, if you're an insider, remember you get 20% off. It is crazy how many $1,000 orders we are seeing come through our new shop page, by the way. And I guess it makes sense when you're saving 20%. You can, there we go, justify it.
Snapper.
Little snap stuff. Oh, I saved my little shrimp. But yeah, thank all of you, insiders and public, who have been coming to the shop page. That new shop page is pretty phenomenal. Oh, this guy really inhaled it. That's the first.
Yeah, get him off. He's bleeding a little bit. Get him off the boat.
First kind of gut hooked one I've had.
All right, there we are.
Apparently, I need a circle hook. But I'm gonna save you, little buddy.
Nice little snapper.
Don't you worry.
So again, looks like we found another little hot zone. So that's just 2 casts in a row. Got some quick fish. Cast number 3 will probably have something as well. And a key thing is just having a nice rod as well. Same thing for artificial lures, but this, because the rod, a lot of people ask, what type of gear we're using. So I've been testing out a bunch of gear. So I'm actually testing out, this is a rod from Bull Bay. It's a Stealth Sniper. And it's a nice rod. It's a fast action rod. And I recommend just getting a nicer rod because that's what does, a nicer rod compared to the reel. A lot of people ask, most people focus on what reel do you have? What reel do you have? And yes, that is important, but the rod is way more important than the reel because the rod is what helps you feel the strikes. It's what helps you set the hooks. It just really does. It handles the fish. It does so much more work than the reel. All the reel does, and we're talking spinning reels. All a spinning reel does is it lets line out. It retrieves it back in. So letting line out requires nothing other than just flipping over the bail. Retrieving the line is, any reel can do it. And then providing the drag is the third thing, which is important. But if the rod doesn't do its work, it doesn't matter how much drag you have. If you're not feeling the strikes, setting the hooks, and getting the fish on, the amount of drag you have doesn't even matter. And with using braid, so we're using 10-pound braid. And it is amazing how much more you can feel with braid. If you have braid as your main line and a nice sensitive rod, it's shocking how much you can feel. As I said before, I can 100% identify a small little pinfish, a little peck versus a bigger fish thump. And you can't do that if you're using mono or if you're using one of those wet noodle rods, like those kind of Walmart special rods.
Wet noodle.
Yes, you can catch fish with them, but getting a nice rod is extremely important.
So I'm re-rigging now. We talked about showing you guys what we're using. So this is just an eagle claw. I think this is probably more like a freshwater hook. I mean, it's so simple. It's size 1. And then you can see these bullet weights. They are 3/16, I believe. Yeah, if you zoom in on that, Cody. And these are just 3/16 bullet weights. And then this little eagle claw. These are super cheap little hooks. They're not meant to last forever. They're meant to do this kind of fishing. Luke's on. He missed the biggest one of the day.
Broken off.
Biggest one of the day. You re-rigging too?
Yeah, I come prepared, and I had some rods pre-rigged.
Oh, tough guy.
But yeah, so every once in a while you get broken off. And another thing too is just for conservation is I plan for break-offs. And so here's the rig.
Let's give that boy a merit badge.
So here's the rig. It's just simple. Again, a bullet weight with the J hook. You know, the weight gets it down. The J hook, you know, is what helps us keep it weedless. And then we pinch. You know, we set the hook to get it unweedless. And for my line-to-line knot, right? So I have a 20-pound mono leader. I don't mess with that fluoro stuff anymore after testing it, and seems bogus. But I have an FG knot, and the reason for that is if I do get a break off, the weight can slide right off, and the fish isn't dragging a weight around. So in that case, that fish, it just pulled.
Thank you, sir.
It just pulled off the weight, or sorry, just pulled off the hook. The weight is not dragging around a weight. So I call it a contained or non-contained weight. Right, if your weight can't slide off from wherever it is away, like in case you do get a break off, if that weight is contained, right, if you do what I used to do is wrap the line around these weights to keep them fixed. You know, if a fish breaks you off, now they're dragging a weight around. And so when you don't have it contained, use a thin knot like the FG knot, super thin and actually stronger than every other knot I've tested, is you can have a system where the weight, again, worst case scenario, you get broken off, the weight is not going to be basically killing the fish. You know, yes, these hooks do rust out pretty fast, but if that fish gets pinned down, it's just, you know, first shark or dolphin that comes near it is going to get a easy meal. So again, that's why I recommend, you know, getting a good knot. I don't recommend swivels for that case. That way we can, you know, now we can have the weight go all the way down, keep the shrimp right on the bottom where we want it, and not be contained.
Swivel, cool, so archaic. You hear Dad's story about the tarpon, speaking of break-offs?
Yeah.
I guess someone got swooled. So our dad was doing a little tarpon fishing near Boca Grande. He's by himself, like most good fishing stories, because you can elaborate a whole lot more when you're by yourself. But our dad's a pretty straight shooter. And he said he was near a little bridge, kind of like this, and he saw a bunch of line, like bright, like this, kind of this high-vis yellow braided line. And, you know, he's doing his part just like we all do. You see something like that, you pick it up, and he keeps picking it up and picking it up more, and he's like, I'm telling you, he's like, I'm 100 yards deep, and it's still going. He's like, next thing you know, he's like, I swear to you, I'm two, and he took a picture of it. He obviously took it all back and sent it to us. And, Luke's on.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he's got about 200 yards of braided line. So someone had basically been spooled, and he's now feeling something on the end of it. What you got there? Jack attack? So he's feeling something on the end of the line. He's like, you got to be kidding me. And it was a big tarpon. So someone had basically been spooled, and this tarpon had now, because of all that line, been wrapped around a piling. And my dad kind of went back and forth a little bit, and finally the thing broke off, like at the hook, basically. And so my dad did a good deed. The tarpon lived to see another day, and my dad has a pretty cool story, and obviously saved a lot of line out there. But he said it was super fresh. He's like, it was probably there's a couple kayakers nearby, and he believes one of them might have been spooled by that tarpon. But how crazy is that? He's like, I thought for a second I was going to be able to, oh, there we go, to hand line a tarpon. And look at the red on that guy. This time I was a little bit quicker. Feel bad anytime I have to, even though that last one survived, feel bad anytime you have to leave a hook in a fish's mouth.
Yeah, and back to the spooling, it breaks my heart when I hear about somebody getting spooled. It's 100% preventable. You should never get spooled, ever. I don't care how big the fish is or how light your line is. It should never, in any circumstance, take all your line out. It's very bad for the environment. First of all, that line, if our dad would have picked it up, it would have been out there for a long time. Could get into prop or obviously kill wildlife. That tarpon would have pretty much been on a death wish if it was like a really good hook that doesn't corrode fast. And all you have to do, if you find yourself, again, like this setup, we could hook into a 100 plus pound tarpon. And I've done it before on these light rigs. And if you know you're going to get owned, before you get spooled, as the fish is just peeling line out, just make sure it can't peel more line out. Just literally hold your spool. Sometimes your drag, when it's ripping out, no matter how fast you tighten it, it's still going to keep going out. It just can't you can't tighten fast enough. But if you grab a hold of that spool and hold on and point your rod straight at the fish so you don't damage your rod, the line's going to break. And it will almost always break at the fish because that fish has been rubbing its mouth on the leader. It's compromising the line. And so, again, by doing that one simple trick, just hold the spool. By doing that, first of all, you're going to not lose your whole spool line. You're not going to sentence that fish to a death wish. And you're not going to get somebody's prop all messed up with a bunch of line in it.
And it'll save you money.
And you're ready to go, right? So then now
cheap.
You have all your line back, and you just try another bait, and you're ready to go. So if you find yourself in that situation, make sure just to be ready to just grab the spool. It is, again, 100% preventable. It's super easy with spinning tackle. It's a little bit tougher with bait casting because you have to really jam your thumbs on it.
Yeah, you might burn a little skin off.
On the bait caster. On the spinning you won't, but on the bait caster, it's happened before. I used to use a little small my bass gear and hook into a tarpon and just get owned. And so I would just get my shirt and put my shirt in between the line and my finger. So this hot spot over here, this hot spot right up here to the left, the last 3 casts have been a success. Really, I guess last 4 casts.
Tell me more about this hot spot.
So we'll get up in there.
So if you're listening and not watching on the podcast, try to describe where we are and what we're looking at.
We're under a bridge.
Ha!
Under a bridge with a lot of... I just got robbed.
Oh, you got robbed. So we're at the front of the bridge, facing into the current, coming at us, casting up just shy ahead of us, and letting it slowly come back, popping it off the bottom. Yeah, there's definitely a whole school of them down there. Still got my shrimp. Ooh, he tried to annihilate the head. Savages down there, Cody.
Yeah, this is just a little small like neighborhood bridge. So the odds of the bigger the bridge, in many cases, the bigger odds of catching more big fish. We were trying to go to one, and there was just a lot of people on it, and we didn't want to go right in their face and start filming and everything. So we just picked.
Trying to keep a good name for ourselves. Oh, there's those salt strong jerks.
Yeah, we just picked a bridge
that
nobody was fishing. Like I hardly ever see anybody fish this bridge. But again, like they all hold fish. We haven't caught any giants yet, but I'm sure there are at least some down there. But again, the ultimate goal is just to go out there and get some action.
Get tight lines. And also, doing this kind of fishing, it does something for your psyche, for your confidence. When you get, especially if you got your kids and your family, you want to show them a good time. You just spent a ton of money on the boat. You want to tell your wife, hey, this is a good investment. A big reason we get so many new insiders, they buy their first boat and they're like, man, I can't go out there and get skunked. I gotta let my wife, my kids, family know I know what's going on. So that was interesting. My weighted slid all the way up. You know what, Cody? We need a good thumbnail pic. This could be it, even though that is super dinky small. We'll take it. Anyhow, this guy got him on his tongue. Still see my hook. Go back here and do a little surgery. Oh, Luke's on the bottom. Anyhow, in terms of just the confidence, meaning now after this, it makes it so much easier for you to go out and catch a whole lot more fish with like no pressure, right? And let's just say you do want to go out and catch some snook in reds or whatever you're into, trout. After you do this, I'm telling you, it is a confidence booster. Like, oh man, we've already caught 15, 16 fish.
Yeah, and so a trick right now, I'm snagged. I set the hook to a fish that was just around the piling, missed the fish, caught the piling, and a way it doesn't work every time, but a way to significantly increase the odds of you being able to pull your bait out is to get on the opposite side of the side that you hooked it on. So I hooked it down current, and so now I'm getting up current of the piling, and I'm going to get a different angle on it. So I'm just feeling for it. I'm kind of giving it some bumps. I'm just getting a different angle. In many cases, it'll be around just like a little small nook or something. And when you go the opposite way, you can power right out of it. So again, I'll give it a little try. And another trick, since that didn't work, is to get the line really tight and do, I think it's called a slingshot. When you're on hunch, oh, there it is, that worked. So you literally saw how hard it was in there. I was pulling on it, and it's what it's called a slingshot, where you get the line super tight, flip the bail open, and super tight, rod straight at the piling, straight at it, because you want to basically stretch your leader as much as possible, and you let go real fast, and that'll recoil back and in many cases jog the hook loose. Again, if I didn't do that, you saw me, I was trying to power out of there, and it wasn't working. I would have broken off. I would have been spending time re-rigging like Joe is. Instead,
I didn't get broken off though. I've got some pretty aggressive little snapper.
Instead, I'm
trying to save their lives.
Just use that little trick, and now I'll be back in action before Joe is.
Yeah, that slingshot thing is surprisingly effective.
Yep. Doesn't work every time.
Well, if there's enough pressure, what happens, because I watched it happen at fishing in the lake one time. I was trying it and ended up unsuccessfully snapped my line, but I could see it because it was so clear, and I watched my lure because of all that pressure. As soon as it broke, Luke, which was an exaggerated form of the slingshot, the lure shot off the little log.
Yep.
And then went down to the bottom. I was like, all right, I'm getting that sucker. So I didn't get my paddleboard out. It was like a $6 lure, and I was like, I'm going back to get that sucker. And I did.
Good job, Joe.
Yeah, felt really good. That's a merit badge right there, dude. Getting all kinds of merit badges today.
So I lost that fish. I'm going right back into it. I didn't get on top of that piling. I think that's going to be another hot zone for us. So I stayed about 20 feet away from that piling. Oh, there we go. Oh, man. The fish always seem to hit when you're messing with the trolling motor. As far as, all right, looks like I got my bait back. So I don't have the full shrimp, but it's
where's
enough.
the sunny hole?
Oh, don't worry about it.
Don't you worry about it. Oh, I see here, brotherly love, because I think I might have caught more than you so far. Even with my one rod. Yep. What happens when you come prepared? Prepared to get, oh boy.
Yeah, and so this current's starting to pick up a little bit.
Yeah, it is. Ooh.
And again, as far as trolling motors, a lot of people have asked, like I have a tiller type. You know, they have these newer trolling motors that have like the spot lock. So having a spot lock trolling motor would be a significant advantage. Because then, I'm either have a fish or I'm on the bottom again. Oh, that was bottom. So again, with this nice rod, I could feel, if I would have set the hook there, I probably would have set my hook into the bottom. But
dude, that was a bigger fish there, bro.
Bigger fish?
Yeah, I just got drilled.
But again, I used the sensitive rod to be able to feel that it wasn't the bottom, right? I could feel weight, but there was no movement, right? If you have a fish, you're going to at least feel some sort of movement on the end. As soon as I feel the weight plus a little bit of movement, that's when I set the hook. If I don't feel it, I don't bother setting the hook.
What rod are you using now?
I just switched over. Now I've got a St. Croix Avid. It's a really nice rod. So again, super sensitive rod. Still have my 10-pound braid.
What leader?
And still 20-pound mono leader. Andy mono.
So I got 25-pound mono on. And it hasn't really made a difference in terms of, there we go, baby. So I'm still catching them left and right in your face, boy. Oh, that's a broody one there. Yes. What I'm talking about, Cody. Snappa, snappa, snappa.
One of Joe's best attributes is humbleness. So he's doing a great job.
Dude, I have been outfished by you my entire life. It's like the one thing. Is it the one thing I can't beat you at? One of maybe two. Getting a little sarcastic.
See, mine's bigger.
And so anytime that I'm having a good day, I definitely like to rub it in. I'll take a little picture here to try to get a little screenshot as well. Always got to be working on the
little snapper.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, get it out of my face, though. Ready, Luke? That's a cool one. All right, let him go. Snappa, snappa.
All right, so sooner or later, we're going to get a bigger one.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit upset we haven't caught any.
It might not happen on this podcast, but I think we've kind of proven the point.
Yeah, the same premise holds true. So let me get back there and show how it's rigged. Joe, if you can keep the boat right here, so we're in the sun. Joe, control motor.
Yeah, no, I'm still going to rig up there.
So again, as I mentioned before, the key, and we have a detailed video on this. We'll put a link down below for it. Joe, fire it up.
I'm on it.
Is so we have a live shrimp, and we need to rig it weedless. That's the thing. And so the best way to rig it weedless that I found for just maximizing fish catching is to rig it from the tail side, because we have a lot of current. This bait's going to be moving down there, and just tearing off the tail is actually really good. Even though it's a live shrimp, a lot of people criticize, hey, you're killing a live shrimp. It's not going to be alive for long, and it's not going to last long. So it's still alive now. So what we do is we rig it from, just go right in the middle of the meat, go down about 1/4 inch to 1/8 of an inch, and then flip the hook around. And I'll flip the shrimp around too. Flip the hook around, and then take the point of the hook under the legs, or going through the legs, and then get it so that the hook point is underneath the shell, right? Totally weedless. I can bump up against anything down there. I have a weedless weight, right? We have a bullet weight, and then we have a weedless shrimp, and you can take this thing around rocks. You can bump it up against pilings. As long as you don't set the hook, you're not going to get snagged. And so using this around heavy structure like this is essential, especially if like this situation. I've never fished this before, so I don't know where the snags are. So this is really smart for your first time fishing a spot. And then once you know the spot, right, yes, our hookup percentage would be better if the hook was exposed, absolutely. But so after a few times fishing it, get an understanding of exactly where the snags are, then you can go back and then rig it the normal way, right? And then just increase your amount of increase your hookup ratio.
I still like weedless. Sorry, dude.
And so just try not to cast over other people.
Unless they're a family member. Then it's completely okay. Especially if you catch a fish right in their face like I'm about to do here as we close out. Oh, you got one? You got to be kidding me. You got a nice one?
It feels a little better. Ooh,
dude, that's a close.
Might be dinner.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
I believe this one's dinner.
I just missed one. All right, guys, we're going to close it up here.
Oh, wait, you're not going to believe this. There's a line in it.
No way.
Yeah. Let's see if he's keeper. There's a line coming out. So I just unhooked it, and let me show you this fish. There's a line coming out of its gills.
Definitely not mine.
See that? So let me see if I can. Let's see if we keep them, and we'll worry about. Whoa.
Oh boy.
Whoa. No, it is legal, so this one's going to be dinner. But what I'll do is, if we weren't keeping, I'll try to get this hook out. Yeah, it's a 11-incher, 11.5. So somewhere in there is a hook. Let me just see if it's one of ours, because we're just using those basic hooks. And if I can just get a look in here, I'll be able to see if it's ours or not.
That's pretty funny.
Snapper are known for having strong jaws and snapping them shut. This guy's doing just that. Yeah, I can't see it, but that's probably 20-pound line. So this could be the one that broke me off earlier, to be honest. I'll have to get it later on.
Yeah, we'll have to give an update when we get back. I think it's got to be yours because I cut mine right at the.
But it's already coming out through his gill, so it has to be older. Either way, we have some dinner. That was another plan, is to have some dinner coming back.
Yep.
And we'll try to probably get another one or two. Need more than just this for a nice meal.
Get some big ones. But guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're enjoying these live ones where they're completely uncut. We're trying to do something different. If you've been watching any of these, you know there's plenty of amazing fishing shows out there. A lot of the fishing shows are mostly for entertainment, and that's great. We try to have ours where it's all about learning and doing stuff, and we've shown some bad ones where the one time, I mean, we were all but skunked until the very, very end. We finally landed a red, and we want to show what really happens out on the water, the good, the bad, the ugly, losing cameras, all that great stuff that's happened. So we're trying to keep it real. Let us know what else you want to see, if there's any specific topics, species, scenarios. Like this was one that, you know, just more about getting family out in the middle of the day. I mean, now it's, 11 something already?
Yeah,
and just going out there and getting a ton of tight lines. So let us know, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't, and become a member. Our Insider members, if you like this free stuff, this is a fraction of what we do. This is what we put out there to lure more people like you into our club, where we now have over 13,000 members. And one of the biggest things they love is saving time and saving money. The time aspect is we literally get on a map every week, every Friday, and show you where to fish that weekend for inshore fish like this, redfish, speckled trout, snook, flounder, etc. And then on the money side of things, 20% off pretty much every piece of tackle that you can find at any major tackle store, even stuff you can find at Bass Pro. We now have it. I believe it's 7,000 or 8,000 items with more being added. And there's a reason there's people putting $1,000 orders in, because they're saving $200 every time they put 1,000 in. Really amazing way to do it. Of course, it only costs 27 cents a day to join the club. So check that out. It's saltstrong.com. Luke is on again. Now he's showing me up. Now he's really showing me up. And we cut the camera off now, Cody. We can't let him see any more fish being caught in Luke.
Yeah, if you like this type of tips, I mean, you're going to absolutely love it. And you like catching redfish, sea trout, snook, flounder, you're going to be blown away by the Insider Club platform. The private videos we have in there, there's nothing else that even comes close to comparing. We literally get on Google Maps and show you where we catch our fish. Yep. So that you can find similar spots near you. And then every week as well, every Friday, we have a weekend game plan that shows you how to make sure you catch quantity of fish like this, and then also what to do to catch the bigger fish based on the most recent trends and the upcoming weather. So again, nothing else like it. Highly recommend giving it a shot.
Maximize your time, maximize your money, maximize your catches. That could be a new tagline.
It's good.
Maximize your time, money, catches. I like it. Cody, you like it?
Triple
Cody likes it. Cody's in. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next episode. We out. Peace.
There's something about the water that'll give you peace, all by yourself or with your family. Live salt strong and wear the line today.